Early history. The film industry in Azerbaijan dates back to 1898. In fact, Azerbaijan was among the first countries involved in cinematography, when the Lumiere brothers of France premiered the first motion picture footage in Paris on December 28, 1895. Little did they know how rapidly it would ignite a new age of photographic documentation. These ingenious brothers invented an apparatus patented in February 1895, which they called the cinematography. It's not surprising that this apparatus soon showed up in Baku. At the turn of the 19th century, this bay town on the Caspian was producing more than 50% of the world's supply of oil. Just like today, the oil industry attracted foreigners eager to invest and to work. A Frenchman by the name of Alexandre Michon was among the first entrepreneurs who came and settled in Baku. A photographer and cameraman by profession, he is believed to have lived in Baku for more than 25 years, where he set up a photo studio. Michon became active in forming a scientific photo circle in Baku and became its secretary. From 1879 to 1905, he documented landscapes, episodes from oil extraction, the refining process, as well as the oil gushes and terrifying fires that broke out in the oil fields. In 1898, Michon began shooting motion pictures that depicted everyday life in Baku. It was his intention to exhibit them in Paris. Michon's photographs still exist up to date in the archives of the Union of Cinematographers of Azerbaijan. The folk dance of Caucasus was later used in a documentary, and the scenes from the oil gush fire in Bibi Haybat were shown in France in 1995, in a film commemorating the 100th anniversary of world cinema. The newspaper announcement about Michon's films on Sunday, August 2, 1898, Michon will show some motion pictures that he has taken with a Lumiere movie camera and which has been improved by the engineer Jules Carpentier. These films of the Caucasus and Central Asia have been prepared for the forthcoming International Paris exhibition and will be presented only once, in Baku at the V.I. Vasilyev-Vyatsky Circus Theatre. The following films will be shown: Fire resulting from an oil gusher at Bibi Haybat oil field, the departure ceremony of His Excellency Emir of Bukhara in the Grand Duke Alexei steamship, a folk dance of the Caucasus, and scenes from the comedy So You Got Caught, which was performed recently in one of Baku's parks. For more detailed information, see the posters. The event starts at 2100. The event was an enormous success and Michon repeated it on August 5, replacing the final two works with those showing life in Balakani outside of Baku. Michon's footage still exists. Folk Dance of the Caucasus was later used in a documentary, and scenes from oil gush fire in Bibi Haybat were shown in France in 1995, in a film commemorating the 100th anniversary of world cinema. On November 27, 1899, writer, scientist and social activist Hassan Zardabi in the Caspi entitled an article in which he wrote, "Now we have in our hands a toy machine called kinematography." Quote, "This wonderful machine was produced only a short time ago and gives the impression of being just a toy. You can find this machine, which is called stroboscope, in many optician shops." Early 20th century. In 1915, the Perron brothers of Belgium set up a film production laboratory in Baku. Their invited film director Boris Vetlov from St. Petersburg to work for them and produce The Woman, an hour before his death, and An Old Story in a New Manner. It was Svetov who also directed the film entitled In the Kingdom of Oil and Millions, which later became so well known. The famous Azerbaijani actor Hüseyin Arablinski played Lutfuli, the main role in this film. In 1916, the first version of the operetta Arshan Mal Alan was directed by Svetov. During this era of silent film, the musical selections were performed by in-house musicians. Two of the women's roles in the film were played by men. Gulchora was played by Ahmed Agdamski and Aunt Jahan was played by Y. Narimanov. In 1919, during the short-lived Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, a documentary called The Celebration of the Anniversary of Azerbaijani Independence was filmed on Azerbaijan's Independence Day, May 28, and premiered in June 1919 at several theaters in Baku. Soviet period. After the Soviet power was established in 1920, Nariman Narimanov, chairman of the Revolutionary Committee of Azerbaijan, signed a decree nationalizing Azerbaijan's cinema. The People's Education Commissariat, which functioned somewhat like a ministry, created an art department which included a film section headed by Hanafi Terigolov and Muslim Magomayev, a notable composer and opera singer. In 1922, the government of Azerbaijan decided to create the first cinema factory, which became the forerunner of today's film studio Azerbaijan Film. In 1923, the Azerbaijan Photo Film Institution was established by a special decree of the Council of People's Commissars. The institution controlled all the movie houses and distribution bureaus. Thus, a new epoch in the history of Azerbaijani cinema began, a period when Soviet ideology, not individual entrepreneurship, dominated the film industry. APFI shot its first film, The Maiden Tower Legend, in 1924. This film was the first Azerbaijani Soviet and was based on the legend about the Maiden Tower. In the 1930s, Russian director Boris Barnett filmed By the Bluest of Seas in Azerbaijan. The film, which is set on one of the country's islands in the Caspian Sea, has received renown from modern film critics. Cinema in the Azerbaijan Republic. In 1991, after Azerbaijan gained its independence from the Soviet Union, first Baku International Film Festival East-West was held in Baku. In December 2000, the former president of Azerbaijan, Heydar Aliyev, signed a decree proclaiming August 2nd Professional Holiday of Filmmakers of Azerbaijan. Now that the USSR does not exist anymore, Azerbaijani filmmakers are again dealing with issues similar to those faced by cinematographers prior to the establishment of the Soviet Union in 1920. Once again, both choice of content and sponsorship of films are largely left up to the initiative of the filmmaker. In 1995, the director Rustam Ibrahimov won an Academy Award for Burnt by the Sun as Best Foreign Film. This moment is described as one of the proudest events in Azerbaijan cinema history. Bibliography. Michael G. Smith, Cinema for the Soviet East, National Fact and Revolutionary Fiction in Early Azerbaijani Film, Slavic Review Volume 56 No. 4, pp. 645–678.